In this lesson, we're going to be looking at various aspects of time, so units of time, how we do 24-hour time, and also adding times together. There's no you need to know section for this one, so we can just get straight into it. Let's start with how we can convert between units of time, and I'm going to start with seconds. Now there is of course things smaller than seconds, such as milliseconds and microseconds, and there's even a few others smaller than that, but we're just going to start off with seconds here, and the next one up would be minutes, and then the next one would be hours, and then we could go up to days, and then we could go to weeks. Now of course you can go higher than that. There's fortnights or months or years or even then decades, centuries, quite a few things, but we're just going to keep ourselves to just these 5 here for this lesson. And so converting between seconds and minutes, all we need to know each time is how many is in the next one up. So how many seconds are there in a minute? There's 60, so we need to divide by 60 to get to minutes. And then minutes to hours is also 60. Hours to days, there's 24 hours in a day, so that'd be divided by 24. And then days to weeks, there's 7 days in a week, so divide by 7. Of course, to go back the other way, we're just going to have to do the multiplications. So it works exactly the same way as our other unit conversion diagrams. It's just that the numbers on here are of course representative of time instead of say meters or liters or something like that. So let's use it in this example here. We're just going to convert 3 weeks to hours. So I'm starting at weeks here, and I need to get to hours. So all we're going to need to do is 3. We times it by the 7 to get it to days, and then times it by the 24. That gets it to hours, and then all I have to do is put that in my calculator, and it tells me it's 504 hours. And that's it. That's all I'm going to need to do for that one. So try it yourself with the practice question. Remember to pause the video. There we go, just a single line of working there with the answer. And don't forget the units at the end. So if we had to start at minutes and we ended up at days, I went through divide by 60 and then divide by 24. And so that's what I've done. I started with the original number, divide by 60, divide by 24, put that whole thing in my calculator at once, and it told me it was 8, and I just made sure I added the units at the end. Here's another question if you'd like another go. Remember to pause the video. And there we go. And that's the end of the learning moment. Let's have a look at how we can use 24-hour time now. Now we should be familiar with the normal methods of telling the time, where you've got your hours, and then you've got your double dots there, called a colon, and then you've got 2 numbers representing your minutes. And of course you've got AM or PM to say what time of day it is. Now, 24-hour time, generally used by the military, does away with a lot of that. It just uses 4 digits, and that's it. So no AM or PM, no double dots here. It uses 4 digits. So it's kind of like this bottom one here, but without the double dots and without having to use AM or PM at the end. So it might look like these. See, they're all 4 digits long. Notice that up here, when it was just 6, I didn't put an O in front. I just said 6. Well, down here, I've actually got to put the O in front. So there's always 4 digits when you write 24-hour time. And this one here would be pronounced O600. So you've got the O and then 600. This one would be pronounced O650. And so not 650, just 650. So you only say 600 when you got the double O there. And this one down here, this would just be 1142, much like this one would be 1140. This one would be 1142. But of course up here you'd have to say AM as well, and down here you don't. We'll see in a moment how they deal with that. And so that's how it's pronounced. Now of course there's not going to be too many questions you're going to have to do in the lesson that ask you to pronounce it, but while you're talking about it with other people, it's good to know how it's pronounced so you know what they're talking about. Now, our normal time, we start the day at midnight. I know it's not light then, but that's when the day actually officially starts. And then, of course, it counts up 1 a.m., 2 a.m., etc., all the way up to 11 a.m., and then noon is at 12 p.m. So noon or midday is actually 12 p.m., and then it goes up to the 1 p.m. So it goes 10 a.m., 11 a.m., but it doesn't go then 12 a.m., it goes 12 p.m. So 12 o'clock is actually when the changeover is between a.m. or p.m., not at 1 o'clock. Now, with 24-hour time, we have 12 a.m. we call quadruple zero, so 4 zeros, and then it counts up. And so notice only the hours are counting up, only the first two digits. The second two digits represent the minutes, and they're just the same as normal minutes. So if it was 42 minutes, 6:42 a.m., it'll still be 42 here. They don't change. But the hours, they count upwards here. And notice they get up to 11 there, okay, fairly straightforward there. And then it starts at 12, but then it keeps going. So 13, 14, 15, and it goes all the way up to 23. So the number here, the first two digits, it's representing how many hours have passed since the start of the day, which is at midnight. So here it's no hours have passed yet. At 1 a.m. there's been 1 hour and goes up, and so at 1 p.m. there's been 13 hours passed since the start of the day. So that's why they don't need AM or PM, because they keep counting. They don't stop at 12. They just keep counting all the way up to 23. Let's try and use that now with this example. We're going to write 4:25 p.m. in 24-hour time. Now the minutes are easy, the last two digits is exactly the same as what's there. So I'm just going to write those down, 25. Something's going to have to go in front of that though. Two other digits to represent the hours. We have to make sure we check, is it AM or PM? If it was AM, it would just be 04. That'd be nice and easy. All the AMs are pretty easy. Starting with 00 for 12 AM and going up, you just have to write it as two digits. But the PMs, 4 PM is 4 hours after midday, and midday is 12. And so if it's 4 hours later than that, we need to add 12 to this, to the 4, which is 16, and so that's the number that we put there, 16:25, and then we just put the H after it just to indicate that it's in 24-hour time. So we'd say that as 16:25 hours. Looking at the next example now, we've got 15:22, and this time is AM or PM time, so we're converting it the other way. Again, the minutes are easy. It's going to be something 22. We just have to work out what the hours is, and this hour is 15. If it's more than 12, all you do is take 12 off it. It's nice and easy converting it back. If it's 12 or less, you just leave it. If it's more than 12, you got to take 12 off it. So 15 take away 12 is 3, so that means I know it's 3:22. Because I had to take the 12 away, it's PM, and so 3:22 PM. Now obviously you don't take 12 off 12. It's got to be more than 12 for this to work, for it to do it that way. If this was less than 12, I'd just leave it as it was, and I'd know it was AM. Let's try it with some practice questions. No working required, just the answers are fine. Remember to pause the video. There we go, the answers for those. So if I have to write 8:05 p.m. in 24-hour time, the 05 is exactly the same as what's there, so that's nice and easy. But the 8, I have to work out, is it going to be 08? Well, that's what it would be if it was AM, but since it's PM, I have to add 12 to it because it's 8 hours past midday, and so 8 plus 12 is 20, so I put down the 20, and I made sure I included my units. Going back the other way, once again, the 41 is exactly the same, so I can put that down straight away. Now 00, that's at the very start of the day. So what hour is it at the very start of the day? It's midnight, which is 12 a.m. And so that's how I knew that the hours was 12 there, and then put AM at the end. So remember, this is just how many hours past the start of the day. If you need another go, here's some more questions. Remember to pause the video. And there we go. And that brings us to the end of the learning moment. Let's have a look at some calculations we can do with time, starting with what is 3 1/4 hours before 1 p.m. Now the easiest way to do this is add or subtract the hours and then do the minutes. So do them one at a time. And so I'm going to start with doing what's 3 hours before 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. take away 3 hours this is the working I show. 1 p.m. take away 3 hours, that's 10 a.m. and then I need to subtract another quarter of an hour. So 10 a.m. take away 15 minutes, which is of course what a quarter of an hour is. If I'm at 10 a.m. and I go back 15 minutes, I go to 9:45 a.m. So that's where I ended up, 9:45 a.m. So notice I show the working for subtracting the hours, and then and where I ended up, and then I showed the working for subtracting the minutes, and I easily got to the final time. In the next one, we're going to round 5:31 p.m. to the nearest hour. And so when we're rounding off time, it's just a question of, is it nearer to the next hour or to the hour we're currently in? So is this going to be nearer to 5 p.m. or to 6 p.m.? And all we have to do is remember there's 60 minutes in an hour. So if it's 30 or greater minutes, then it's closer to the next hour. If it's less than 30, it's closer to the current hour. So in this case, we're going to say it's closer to 6 p.m. No working required. You can just see which one is it closest to and write it down. Note you can also do this with 24-hour time, and it works exactly the same. Let's try it with some practice questions. Remember, working will definitely be required on this one, but you can just put the answer straight down on the second one. Remember to pause the video. And there is the solution with that required working for that one there. So on this first one, I had to go 2.5 hours after 6:50 p.m. So started by adding the 2 hours. 6:50 p.m. plus 2 hours brings us up to 8:50 p.m. And then plus the half hour, if we add 30 minutes onto 50, it takes 10 minutes to get us up to 9 p.m. So there's another 20 minutes left over. And so when you add the 30 minutes there, you end up at 9:20 p.m. And now since I've added the hours and the minutes, I'm at my final answer. And in the second one, 4:23, remember, just look at the minutes. The minutes are less than 30 there. That means that I am closer to the 14-hour mark. So I make it 1400 hours. If this was more than 30 or 30 or more, I would have brought it up to 1500 hours. But since it's not, you can just stay 1400. If you need another go, here are some more questions. Remember to pause video. There are the solutions for those, with the working that should be shown there, of course. That's the end of the learning moment and also the end of the lesson.